They have to pull the plan, I don't really know.
Scott can do that though. They can't survey.
I was on the phone with both him and Jeff today. And either one of their companies do it, but they both have contracts that do.
Is that app you have on your phone?
Well, you need to actually get it.
That's pretty accurate, but
Jeff and I were there last week, he's not content with that good enough. It strikes enough question that you're gonna have to locate some kind of, and I think it's important you look at it that way, you're not doing the survey. They would be able to come out and find a marker and then get the rest of them pretty quick, this wouldn't be able.
wasn't so, it made on the engineer.
No, we can do it, but I can imagine you probably pretty expensive.
Because that was Wooldridge and thought Wooldridge out of Westchester, I'm going to assume that somebody from down there.
Ken survey used to be in the township.
I recognize the name.
You know, he works for Hal, he does survey for us, but he lives right here in town, right there off Willow Glen.
Lemon tree.
Yeah.
So you don't want to use great value.
If you're gonna use Jeff for the enforcement, you might as well let him use.
I was technically gonna do it.
Yeah.
Technically has contact with it. Both of them do, both.
They're gonna enforce.
When you said Jeff, I wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
To the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any comments from the public? Any correspondence in front of you? Skate park proposal presentation. Anyone here? Morgantown Road Commercial Land Development, land decision for approval.
Good evening, Debbie Reeser from Berkeley. I'm here with Brad Newsy from Audubon Land Development. We're before you tonight for consideration of conditional final plan approval. We've been working with Eric and Scott, your township engineer, to address items prior to this evening's meeting.
It's true.
Scott is comfortable with where the plan is at right now to recommend approval of the final plan subject to some conditions. So I went ahead and prepared a decision. You have that, should have that in your packet. I sent it out to you a few days ago. Remember, you already approved the preliminary plan last year. So it's essentially the same as the preliminary plan. There's been no substantive change to the plan itself. The site plan, if you were to look at it, you will not see a difference. Big difference between the preliminary plan and the final plan is essentially there's been progress on getting third-party agency approvals. Once the preliminary plan is done, that's the time that the developer goes out and works on the HOP permitting process with PennDOT and water authority, sewer authority, getting those third-party agencies. Berks County Conservation District would be another one. And that approval process is well underway.
Correct.
So that's really the only difference, and I think the feedback from all of those agencies is that the plan is in good order. And according to Scott, they don't expect there to be any significant changes to the plan. So there's no reason to hold the plan up any longer. If, of course, something unexpected happens causing the plan to change substantively, it just means the developer would need to come back to you to get a plan revision. So there's no risk on the board to put forward at this point in time. So what this decision does is approve the plans that were last reviewed by the engineer, which were last revised October 31st, 2022. There will be a subsequent plan set done once everything is, all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. At some point in the next couple of months that Scott will sign off on. But for now, the last revised plan set is dated October 31st, 2022. This decision will approve that, subject to pretty much your standard conditions, that all applicable ordinances and regulations are satisfied. That the sidewalk and curbing deferral agreement in form and substance acceptable to the township be executed and recorded. That the Craft Engineers November 15th, 2022 review letter is satisfied to Scott's satisfaction. And then that a December 14th technical deficiency review letter issued by Berks County Conservation District is satisfied. Which developer says they will be able to do. Again, number 5 would be that all third-party agency approvals that are required are obtained. That would be the PennDOT Berks County Conservation District. 6, that the traffic signal maintenance agreement get executed and recorded in form and substance acceptable to the township. We're working on that. Drafts have been exchanged and we will wrap that up in the coming weeks. And that will be subject to your approval to get all these agreements.
We're just updating.
Yeah, basically, condition number 8 is that applicant will provide an access way from Morgantown Road to the athletic fields or ballpark.
Scott did talk to you about that, correct? Okay.
So that's been plotted. There's going to be some adjustments to that to make sure it is accessible to everybody, but they've accepted that essentially as a condition.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Condition number 9, that they execute a development agreement and financial security agreement. That's standard. That they execute a stormwater management agreement and they close the stormwater maintenance fund, which Scott estimates is $2,500 to maintain these stormwater facilities ongoing. That they post financial security in a required amount, that's standard. And they reimburse any outstanding administrative fees, that's standard. And those are the conditions. So there's no new conditions from the preliminary plan. It's just wrapping up everything. So if the board is in agreement with all of that, as Scott says, it's okay then to make a motion to approve this decision on presented.
I talked to Scott and Scott said everything is good. So I'll make another.
Second, all those in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll take the rain with you.
Okay, back to the skate park proposal presentation. Hello.
So, well, we got your email. You guys are interested in more of a temporary skate park, I guess. So my brother did some research on what that might look like, and I guess we'll start with that. It would be called a prefabricated skate park. So essentially, all you would need is the surfacing.
Yeah, so on here I have some estimated pricing based on like some images of potentially if you go the prefab park, which is basically you put the concrete down and then you stick ramps that are pre-made on. And have like 20-year warranties, they're made of steel, stuff like that. So there's 3 pages, they have some pricing, approximate pricing based on it. I don't know who would like to take a look at that.
Yeah, so
That as an example.
so that would look like maybe something you guys would be interested in. One of the skate parks in the area is in Exeter called Pineland Skate Park. It's been there for 20+ years, probably older than myself. And it's in really good condition. And then I guess, you know, if that's something you guys are looking for, we'd be, you know, happy to answer any questions you guys have regarding that or a concrete skate park. We have connections to get either or. So yeah.
And when you originally came before us, you had approached Elverson Borough about it. You had people from Elverson Borough.
Yeah.
Now, you presented that to them again and they're considering it now, or what? Catch me up to speed here.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so they, the council, the Elverson Borough Council, after presenting them with feedback from other towns that have put skate parks in, the police force and the mayors, they are very supportive of the skate parks in their towns. So after Elverson Borough, the council heard all the positive feedback, they are willing to consider it if the public approval in Elverson Borough is there. So that's kind of where that's at. They had some town hall meetings this past week. They're still doing some canvassing and trying to get the feel of what the residents would want up there. The general feel is positive, but they would prefer something smaller. Just because their space is limited, so they want to keep, it would be in Living Good Park. So they want to keep that park small, more family friendly, not, you know, skate parks are family friendly. You go to a skate park, you see a lot of families there, kids there on scooters, on bikes. The park they're considering is more designed for a younger crowd, someone that might be starting to learn. They're focusing on, you know, people who go to Living Good Park already there's a lot of families. So that's what Elverson Borough is considering. No decision has been made yet. So they're still thinking about it.
And then I would like to add too, sometimes what will happen, we've noticed is that one town will build a smaller skate park, like say Elverson would put in. And then down the road, the next town, there'll be another skate park that's different and unique, and skaters will go from either or. So for example, Denver skate park is a big concrete skate park, and just down the road in Reamstown, probably 8 minutes away, is a really small skate park. So some people will go to warm up at that small skate park, and then they'll go to the bigger skate park. So what would be cool with this prefab skate park is that it would be different than the Elverson one. So that was more for, you know, kids or warming up at, and then you could go to the Morgantown one, which would be a bit bigger ramps and probably have more space. So that's kind of what we were thinking as far as that. That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, and in Denver and Reamstown, Denver went in first, Reamstown went in afterwards, and you find that people really like that. Even though they're close, 8 minutes away, they really feed off each other, and it gets a positive feedback from the community and from everyone that uses it.
Well, after you were here last time, were you guys looking into grants? Do you remember that?
Yep, a bit, grants, and also just looking, for local businesses that might want to, you know, help fund it. We
You
haven't
guys go
quite-
out and look at the property and, I mean,
I actually went and looked at it, yeah, and the ladies that were with us last time, they looked at it as well, I believe. But I went personally, I saw it's a nice area,
so how big are these? Because it doesn't really have a size on their pictures.
They can really be whatever size.
Like a basketball court, like.
It could be-
Like what are you talking
so
about?
these ramps are like already built, so pretty much wherever you know, pave and whatever the skate park surfacing is, they can make those ramps adjusted in that space. So that would pretty much be up to, I think, you know, you guys,
As far as
how
how
big
big.
you want it to be to fit that space. You could go from a small park, or you could go.
What do you consider a small park? What size?
It's like the size of this room, I mean, what?
I mean, that's which, is it Pottstown that has one like the size of this room? Or is that Downingtown?
That's downtown.
Downingtown has one probably about the size of this room, that would be like really small. Still skatable, it's still used.
What you'll see with the prefab parts there is they tend to have more space, because pretty much the biggest thing is they just pave a big lot and then they.
Like two tennis courts, like a tennis court area, probably is a ballpark size.
Look at the parking lot.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I think it's quite interesting to show this to us, because like, so take into consideration, we're gonna put a park in.
But then we also have to have parking, we have to have, you know what I mean, accessibility to it, so like, what do you, I mean, what
This
kind of? an area?
slide, what area is this compared to something like this?
Just, you have the dimension in there of the, Ellington one, was that?
That was 65 is what they're looking at, and that takes up, less than 2
Tennis court.
tennis courts. So that's a 60 by 90 area. That's of course all concrete, and they do have the parking there, at Living Good Park. So I think a lot of the sizing comes down to like how much you want to put there, the budget for it, things like that. And then the prefab stuff, you can pick and choose what you want to put there. You know, if you have a space like this area, this room, you could put in a couple prefab stuff and people would use it. You wanted to make it bigger, then you of course can get more prefab ramps and move them around and put them where you want to be able to use the space that is allotted.
Now, you guys being skateboarders, you prefer the prefab or you prefer the concrete?
Yeah, so
We-
this
we
is,
skate
this is a
both.
good, this is a good thing that, I was just gonna say, you know, we're fine either or. A lot of skaters like concrete, but like, we skate, Pineland and Exeter, and we love it, and I know, so that design is from American Ramp Company, and they make skate parks all across the country. We've skated them, they're really good, and, there's, you know, we know plenty of skateboarders who skate those and they like them, so it's just a different, feel.
I mainly skate like prefab stuff, because Pineland would be the closest to here in Exeter, and that's prefab, so that's mostly what I skate. Jansen skates a lot more concrete.
How big is that place?
Where Pineland, it's a large space, we
It's
never,
pretty large, I mean,
probably 3 or 4 tennis.
Well, I
I think that's
think what you guys need to really do is come up with some more sizes here, because I mean, I'm pretty sure I can speak for everybody up here. We like your idea. We liked it when you came before us first time. I just think that we need a little bit more information, you know what I mean, a little information on, and maybe it would be us going up and saying, okay, we have a 200 by 300 area that we're willing to put on. I mean, is that what you're looking for from us? I mean,
yeah, I guess we're looking for like, what are you looking for from us? Are you looking us to go to the field and measure it out?
About what these.
Justin, do you have
sizes
that
are to
email?
judge?
And then with the dimensions on it, I would go with,
Yeah.
yeah, we could probably get you the dimensions to look up, probably on the website. But like, you know, we're willing to work with pretty much whatever. you're
The
willing to-
prices I got from these people
Uh-huh.
were for a walking path, doggy park and skate park, all in one combined area.
And what were the prices? But that, we can't go by them because that was.
That was
before
pre-COVID.
Oh, okay,
Did you ever hear Charm City?
yeah, Charm City Skate Park,
That's where I got prices from.
okay, and what did they say? I mean,
So that was pre-COVID, so there's prices.
yes, it
Non-existent.
doesn't even, yeah,
But that was, they gave me drawings and a quote.
yeah. So I guess we would be asking you is, look, we'd be asking you some questions on, like,
I guess, do you want us to go to this field and get sizes and? You know, I guess it kind of depends on what you guys are looking for in terms of,
Well, it's more.
well, I
about
mean, you're giving us
the
prices
area.
from 45,000 to 145,000.
Right.
So obviously that's, is this the same size, just with?
no, they're all different
You
sizes.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, so this was a general, I reached out to these people because we've skated their stuff before. And just said, give me some general quotes on some
essentially, we're giving you
other
the option.
projects.
Essentially, we're giving you the option to
basketball
choose
court.
from.
Okay.
I think,
So you're looking from a tennis court to 2 to 3 tennis. courts.
exactly,
Sure.
and it's like, what do you guys want to do? Because we're willing to work with whatever.
Well, I want the biggest one for the cheapest price.
Works for us. Yeah, that literally works for us.
Keep in mind the legal stuff that needs to go along with it, so if you're gonna design an entire apartment. This is one part of it. There's bidding requirements and such, depending on how you structure it. So
We're just trying to get some ideas, that's all.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you just be mindful of that.
yeah.
This might need to be competitively bid depending on how you
So
structure.
we're gonna go that route, then we need to know if we wanna do
Then
the.
we need to know exactly what we want.
right,
Mhm.
right away, and bid all of it out at once.
Or there could be components of it that if you're gonna rely on a professional service, like someone who's gonna design something specially that you might be able to exclude. So usually you start with an engineering design of the entire park.
Mhm.
And then from there, we can establish what needs to be bidded versus what may not need to be bidded. If it's something special, based on somebody's creativity, it could be exempt from bidding. So you might.
Well, I know when they were
It might
here
be
before, you
hard
had
for the
people in the
person.
borough here.
Yeah.
And I know there were talks about grants and all that stuff, and so, yeah, so now they just kind of threw it to you guys now, right?
Well,
No,
no,
they were willing to come.
we just said, we're fine.
It's-
Because depending on what grants you have and how much donations you get.
Well,
that could upgrade, yeah.
that's the
affect
thing,
size that we're able
Sky's
to-
the limit.
That's, the
Right.
sky is the limit, and that's kind of what we wanted to know from you, like, I saw that space, it's plenty large for, a decent sized skate park. We would just have to do funding, grants, and look at, what the town would be willing to put into it. I mean, we can do fundraising, of course, we're gonna want approval before we go out of our way, doing all that work, it's a lot of work, so,
We gotta make sure people are gonna use it too.
oh, they'll use it, trust me. Yeah, they'll use it.
If
We're
we
gonna
move
use all
forward
our
into
parts
like
for
this, what do you want in addition to this? You got a quote for what? A dog
But
park?
it was a walking park,
Walking
dog park, and skate park,
Mhm.
one.
Okay,
And there was some bicycle stuff mixed in
is
there.
that what you want right away? I mean, up front. That's what the goal is.
Well, you can start there and work your way down and figure out how much that's even.
Where do you want to put it?
Well, we talked about Highcroft, up there, because nobody uses that field.
The drawing that I got fit down there at High because there's parking already there. There's a baseball field that no one has used in I don't know how
Right.
long.
Great spot, yeah.
So it's a huge spot.
Just, I'd kind of like to have a puppy park too.
Yeah, well.
And that would be nice, yeah.
And honestly, my thought behind that was to reiterate, now you have parents out there with kids. So the parents may not be skating with the kids, but there's parents out there with kids.
Mhm.
So you have an equilibrium of things going on. And then you have moms, dads out there on the.
So we need a
That's what you're
starting
not thinking
size.
that close.
Yeah, we need a starting size for everyone to be. And then from there, we can expand on, okay, we want the dog park in. And everyone's on the same page, getting the same quotes.
In this one picture, they show roughly a basketball court in the back.
Comparison.
So I mean, obviously, these are prefab that you can move around.
They are.
Yeah, but. I mean, it's kind of a basketball court
I
in the
mean,
back.
Yeah.
what do you want to start with? I mean, what size,
What?
what
Okay,
did you
so
measure out there, or did you?
tennis
measure?
court, two tennis courts, what would be an optimal size?
I would say 2 tennis.
At
courts.
least two.
At least 2.
If you're going the prefab route and you can space it out a little bit, I would
This one.
start with at least two.
Because if I'm not mistaken, and I think I might still have a set of those drawings, I'm sure I do somewhere.
Yeah,
I think it was about the size, the skate park itself was at least 2, if not 3 tennis.
it is a,
There was
one
some
of our,
bicycle stuff mixed in.
Yeah.
And would that be, this one down here, 2 tennis court size, about what you're looking for?
yeah,
They're
definitely,
okay.
be
So,
there.
okay, so this would be a good starting point. That's about two of
Okay.
them, okay, all right.
The thing is, if you're gonna go the prefab route, you can always add on.
That's
right?
the,
Put that on,
So-
expand it.
Denver started like that. They started with prefab and wood ramps, and then now they are full concrete. So, this could last really like 20 years, or, if you want to keep adding on, we can do that as well. But I think this would be like a more than enough and a perfect starting place.
So I think what we'll do is, we'll get your quote, and then we can share that with you guys, so you can go get your quotes and do what you need to do, and
Exactly. And
then we'll start with that.
yeah,
I would suggest,
Estimate, no,
I would suggest that you pull Scott in
okay.
to work up a sketch of the site. Before you get too far along, because he can be cognizant of other requirements, like if you're adding impervious surface.
Hmm. But
Gotta
when
be
we get the
careful.
quote, so they have all that in there.
I
and
did,
then
I
have a
actually-
question in it?
you bet you already have that.
I had Scott involved in that time, so.
If he's involved, I mean, if you're talking about how large things are gonna be, Scott can sort of drive that. Because you're not gonna wanna
Okay,
trigger
so
stormwater
before we use the
requirements and
quote,
such.
show Scott what you have on file from the last one, and start from scratch and say, look, this is what we're leaning towards. Do you have any questions, or do I need to submit anything else to this back and quote before we get it back?
And I'd like to keep Joan in the loop so that
Yeah.
she's not confused.
Yeah. And she can email us and tell us what's
Yeah.
going on
You
with
go up
the
to 1,000 square feet of impervious, you're gonna start requiring.
Okay.
Stormwater management facilities, and it becomes a bigger project.
Well, that's another thing that's already there, so. There's a retention pond right
All right,
there.
well, we'll get started with this.
Yeah, and then as far as funding, is that, would you be interested in like matching, like how much we could fund, would you match a price? Or is that like,
Let's get something more.
Let's
written.
get started and see where we're at.
but let's look at price, yeah, okay,
Okay,
yeah, that sounds great,
all right.
Okay.
thank you guys, well, yeah.
Then,
Yes, Lynn, I'm sorry, Lynn.
I was just gonna comment on, he said, she said about the size, you know, like, what do you want, what do you want? I was just gonna say, if I was to start relating it to the baseball type, you know, like, do you want your skate park to be as big as the infield? Are you looking for half the baseball diamond? You know, it's like, if we start thinking about in terms of what's there,
Right,
we get a handle.
Mhm.
It was just, you ended up with a good point.
Yeah,
yeah, we had a picture, we know what size that is, we'll start with that one.
all right,
Okay, all right,
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
20 Kenwood Drive tree damage update. No one's here for that? Do we need any information on that?
Well, you gotta decide. If you saw the emails, she's still waiting for us to come clear the
Okay.
tree.
So are we gonna, we need to get a survey, right?
We need to locate the corner pins, we need to locate the pins for that lot,
So you said Technicon has someone they work with.
yes, and so does Craig,
Okay, so since Technicon's the one that's gonna be doing
enforcement.
enforcement, we should probably let them work with them. Anyone object to?
I'm okay with getting. I'm good with that survey.
So in her letters that she sent to you, I told her December 23rd, I think that's when the tree fell down, it was that storm, winter weather, that we would be out to clean it up, as this transitioned into it's hers, it's her insurance, they're the ones that are dealing with it. I haven't went out there, the other half of that tree should come down. Again, I don't know exactly whose property it is
How
on.
soon can we get someone out there?
Well, that's Jeff, and Jeff said he could get somebody that would, he would get on them, ready them on it right away tomorrow morning,
Okay.
so.
Or-
I mean, I don't know, they're coming tomorrow morning, but he would start getting,
Right.
making contacts tomorrow to get it done at ASAP.
Well, since we don't meet for 2 weeks, you get them out there and you find out it's our responsibility, then
We
get a
just
tree
take
guy
it.
right away.
Well, I can cut this one down, there's 2 others there that are lean, so, but I still need to know where the property line is, so I know whose tree is. And along with that, with what I have on my phone. Those pine trees she's been complaining about are showing to be right directly on the line. These marks are gonna tell you which side of the line those trees are on, so they may be hers too.
All right,
It's too close.
We need to get a survey. We have to get a
Survey
survey.
just by stake, or do you want the survey to have more permanent? Mark,
Well, I
probably
mean,
more
for years
permanent
to
because
come, I
we're
would
gonna
say put
continue
money
with the
in.
survey. And start surveying all that out there. We need to know.
The only
I don't
problem,
think we're gonna need a price on mine, but that's gonna be a lot more expensive.
Monuments are astronomically, I asked him about that before, as far as future land development.
can't we
plans.
just run a steel pin in the ground so we can locate it?
They're already there. Pretty much that's where I'm going with this.
Okay.
You're using the word survey, but all you're really doing is looking at
Finding.
defining the pins and marking them so that you can stand
Do
and
you
look.
know about where that pin is?
I do, and that's what concerns me. These trees, everything here that we're talking about is, well, it's right here somewhere. And I'm not talking, I mean, it's right here really close.
Yeah.
So we can do it ourselves with a metal detector.
If you have an idea where, of course, then you gotta look at the
I
plot
can have a
plans
surveyor
Yeah.
do it.
Okay.
No, the survey is gonna be more accurate.
Yeah.
and fast.
as far as, we're not cleaning that tree up, though, right?
What,
What trees in her yard on that shed, that's her insurance responsibility.
Yes, for insurance, yes, she
Okay,
called them.
yeah, but she's saying Keith told her that he was going out to do it and that's never come out. So that's what I'm reiterating,
She's been-
they need
She's
to
been
know that.
notified since then that insurance, her insurance has to be taking care of it.
I remember when the tree originally fell, we just said, go take care of it, but that's before we knew the insurance company.
Exactly.
We did what we did and. I think we helped them.
Joan included me in the correspondence from with her today. I didn't look at dates on them, but it seems like she's still saying that you said, the township said they were coming and they haven't showed up yet. Like she's still waiting for us, the way I interpreted what I saw today.
I thought we made it.
Very clear that she,
But that one was dated January 23rd, because that's the one I looked at, and that was the one, if I'm not mistaken, that said, we didn't show up yet.
Oh, I read that. I read all three of them, but I didn't hang on dates. I looked at them and thought she's still mad we didn't show up.
Eric actually made that very clear.
That's not, that's not discuss what we discussed. in the executive session.
In the meeting.
all right, so you're on that, getting surveyed.
I'm gonna get it surveyed. And the tree that's on her, that fell on her is still up to her. If that other tree is on us, we're gonna cut it down and I will get with Spar to
Okay,
remove the two leaners.
Can we have Spar take a look at if the trees are good or not? I mean,
Which,
well, any tree that might be of issue, can we have a Spar, who's a tree guy, have him take a look at it and see if it might be
if that's what you wanted to, I haven't received that. I understand that was a
are
conversation.
you asking, should we hire
All I'm saying is like
Tree
he's
guy
there,
development.
can he look at the trees that are there?
in that
In
area?
that area.
You want a bigger area?
No, let's
Okay, so
take
that-
that area right there.
So yes, the two trees that she confronted Fritz and I about that were leaning are still there and leaning, very much alive, but leaning. There's two trees beyond that, then one of those fell. The other half needs to come down.
And you say you can take that one down.
That one's leaning back into what I'm assuming is the open space. Yes, I have no fear of that one hitting anything that doesn't belong to us.
Well, I can tell you, just use your best judgment once it gets surveyed. You guys agree?
Yeah.
And those two leaners, I can go ahead and, if that one turns out thus, I'm gonna reach right out to Davey about getting a quote to remove them. Preferably by your next meeting, if it's,
You just kind of, you know where we stand when it comes, I don't want to be trimming trees for every homeowner in the development.
you've used the word as potential hazard, these are leaning. And they're leaning out.
Understood, but I mean, if it's a danger, I mean, if the tree is still alive, I mean, we all know pine trees have shallow roots. You
Well,
get a lot of rain and high winds, you're gonna have issues with pine trees coming down.
again, this
Just
is all,
because there's a pine tree in her backyard, it's not on her property, I'm not gonna take a tree down just because of that. Then we gotta do it for 340 homes in Benwood, and hidden
I get
farms,
you.
and Mill Stream, and you see where it's just a.
I'm just telling you that there's a pair of mulberries, the same double tree, and it's leaning hard out toward.
Everybody else feel the same way? I mean. if
We
it-
do, and these aren't pine trees, they're actually in the wood.
And two mulberries and they're growing and they're leaning out towards the two residential units. So you're saying, I'm saying you, I think, I don't know that they're gonna fall down, but they're leaning that way. So it would just be,
Well,
If you
get
feel-
Star's opinion.
Yeah. Yeah,
Alright.
okay.
But the pine tree that's in question, the landowner before is the one that planted that.
correct. And the survey, what I can see on both the tax parcel viewer from the county and on the other app on my phone. That line is running right next to, right in the bottom of them trees. So locating these pins is going to make that a moot point. Those trees may be rooted on her property and just bigger, and that's what I'd like to see.
Okay. MAA contract for 2023. Were you here? Okay, so,
I talked to,
Bill,
Damon,
okay,
and I talked to, Jay Oliver.
Yep.
And we are gonna try to set up a meeting next month. We had so many meetings this month, I didn't have time to do that.
Yeah.
But I'd like to sit down with everybody so we can come up with something.
Yeah.
The future of MAA, how it's gonna go and go underneath this umbrella that I guess they're talking about.
yeah, so,
Just have to be caught up to date so we can get some sort of contract, because we all feel that. I mean, we want the field to be used, we just wanna have something in place
oh,
and decide who, if it's gonna be Twin Valley, if it's gonna be this, well, it's not Babe Ruth, what is it?
it's Twin Valley Baseball Association. So Twin Valley Little League has dissolved. That's done. And, so they are now going to go under Babe Ruth. That part, which is what Jay has started over here, And so the beginnings of the merge has started, basically.
Okay.
So it's all good stuff, all good stuff.
Yeah,
And
so I mean, before I can report back to these, I'd like
I
to have
know.
a meeting with all you guys, and
Yeah.
I know that I just talked to Damon, end of last week, so.
okay,
I just told him I'm really busy, but I want to include Keith McGowan's gonna be part of it.
yeah,
Okay, and I want our park and rec to be part of it, and anyone else, you know, if
Yep.
another person wants to join.
Yeah.
You know, we'll have this meeting and come up with something, decide, you can fill me in, that you guys can all fill me in on what the future of that's
yeah,
gonna be.
yeah, well, it's hopefully gonna be a very broadly well-known community-wide thing. So as we had initially reported a year ago, right, just took some time.
Yeah, I mean, we understand that, we just, we want to make sure that everything's taken care of, you know.
Yeah, and I think that, with that being said, with the more support that's coming on from those coming from Twin Valley Little League, as well as all those affiliated with the Babe Ruth, I think there's some more, definitely a lot more things that are gonna be happening over there that I know Jason, you know, wanted to kind of discuss and.
Now, what does this mean between us without them? What does this mean for MAA?
So we're still on the softball side. So Twin Valley Little League still still is alive on softball. They have not separated from them completely. However, those groups of girls are playing under the Brandywine Valley Girls Youth Softball League, which is a huge league in Chester County. We have now 11 organizations there, of which I'm the president of that. So they will be coming under this whole other thing going on with baseball, because eventually it's fingers crossed gonna work out that it's Twin Valley baseball, softball, and t-ball. So it's gonna encompass everyone. The only people that are not on board are foul. They're
I heard that.
so, but as far as like everything here, and it's gonna be a feeder right into the high school and the middle school and high school. Those coaches are on board now with coaching all of these kids, because everybody's gonna be registering under one thing, which is what we've been asking for years.
So it seems like there's a lot more money involved there too, that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
that's
there's like a ton of wonderful things that can happen with this. It just has taken so much. So just let me know.
Well, when we get discussion to come up with a date, I'll make sure you.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, I'll be ears.
Okay,
Jason, Oliver and Bill and Damon, they're kind of taking the reins on the baseball thing.
right.
I'm kind of serving on their board, if you would. And then I'm continuing, you know, with whatever softball. We'll probably have we're the only division that has an older league girls softball. And all the younger girls will be filtered down to Twin Valley. And then next year, we will all.
Are you gonna do that softball again like you did 2 years ago? Because a lot of people asking about it.
I know, I'm hoping, yeah.
All right, well, when we get a meeting, we'll get together and then I'll give these guys the feedback.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Resolution 2023-19, appropriation of approval funds. Transfer to payroll fund 4,423.68. That would be for sick pay.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor?
Okay.
Police department, new police car purchase order.
As I reported at the December meeting, I wanted to get in line for cars. Not knowing the arrival date of cars. As luck would have it, a week after I spent money on the car in question that I'm gonna get rid of, New Holland Auto Group received a whole fleet of cars in. So a car is available for our taking possession of. A lot sooner than I expected and a lot sooner than what they expected. So it's there if we wish to take possession of
Okay,
it.
we have those funds
We
and
budgeted for
we
one.
budgeted for it.
Well, that was gonna be my question as to, are we looking to take that from the budget or are we looking to take that from the rescue funds? Because I know there had been discussion with the police liaisons on that.
The rescue fund, the money had to be used at a certain time,
Correct.
right?
Yes,
Discuss that. Well, what do you need now? You just want approval to lock it in?
Well, I have a purchase order here. They started the paperwork. So basically, permission to, a couple things would be for me to sign the paperwork, so we need a motion for the letter to be authorized as in the past. Purchase order signed, and then a request for a check from the treasurer.
But we had it in the budget to buy it, so
Correct.
it's a question of where we want to take the money out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
We'll
not sure
probably
that,
have to go over what we have
I think
in
that's what I'm
that
thinking.
funds, so we can
Yeah.
approve it,
Yeah,
because we budgeted for it. And then we can figure out, do we want to use.
Where it's coming from.
Right. where-
Yeah, I left the category on the purchase order blank as to where it was coming from.
well, I make a motion that we buy the new 2023 Ford Police Utility for $38,932.
Correct, and that is a
Chad,
CoStar's pricing.
Then we find out where we can take the money out, because that's few funds.
We have a motion,
Second.
second, all those in favor?
Uh,
So then the upfit quotes,
I have attached a copy for your review from another CoStar's vendor, which is PRM. Upfit, because the items in that car are second generation already, so we would need new cage, gun mount, so forth, so on. The CoStar pricing for that equipment would be $15,821.64 for an upfit. And the same thing as to where you want to take that, do you want to take that from our accrual account? Do we want to take it from the rescue funds, or do we want to take it from the budget? And again, that, I just need approval for the purchase order to get that order. That's gonna be months in the line for that equipment to come in, so it's not like it's, coming out of our
What you
pocket.
told us about the car.
right.
Yeah.
We have a motion, upfit,
I make the motion.
Second.
motion, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
And then motion to authorize chief to sign the paperwork,
Make a motion.
motion, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
2016 Dodge Charger, approval to advertise sale on municipal bid. Got a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
And what do we want in that motion? How long, minimum price might be, or what?
I looked at Missy bid the other day. There are two Dodges on there currently that are for sale. One was a 2010 Dodge Fire Chief's white Charger, stripped out. That was at 8,000. There was another, black 2016 black unmarked Charger stripped out of no gear in it. And that was an $8,000 range also as a reserve right now. So I would say if we keep the reserve around $8,000 and let it go from there, keep it a minimum of 8,000, we've been successful. And I would like to sell it as is, less the police radio and speed timing. So I would leave the cage lights in it. It may make it more appealing for whether it's a constable or that company from Chicago again that buys used police cars. But I would say, if we're gonna have maybe a February workshop meeting, if we put it on there for their.
As is, will we get more money for it? This, I guess, what my question is, so do we want to raise,
That's what I'm thinking, 9.
raise the minimum?
9 is fine with me. I mean,
Cause you got what, push bumpers on it? What is it?
it's got everything, and it's got the push bumper, has the siren, has the lights, the cage.
Certainly
gun
take
mount.
care of itself and go with that.
Right.
Right, so do we have a motion to put this on bid
I'll make the
for
motion.
9,000 reserve?
I'm thinking 9.
Reserve of 9.
Reserve it.
Reserve of 9.
Okay, so
Okay.
we have a motion,
Second.
second, all those in favor? Aye. Full-time police officer, new hire.
As we're aware, Officer Karpovich resigned her full-time position. She's asked to go part-time. I do have a couple applications that have those come in. I would like to get permission for the police liaisons to sit down and conduct the interview of potential candidates for that position.
Do they include some of our part-timers?
No. We only have the one part-timer right now, which is Officer Carpenter. It actually, the one resident that is a township resident. And currently works in the law enforcement community.
To make a motion for the liaisons to conduct.
I'll say.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Ballistic shield purchase via donation received.
As you are all aware, 2 weekends ago, Robinson Township had a unfortunate situation during the day. With a armed person in a standoff situation. Our officer arrived on location. That vehicle does not have a ballistic shield in it. He had to wait until Amity Township Police Department arrived and was able to get their ballistic shield to use for himself. I have recently received a donation from a township company, business company, in the amount of $10,000 to be used for safety equipment for the police department. So I would like
Just for
to,
one, is that what it costs for one?
no,
Oh,
no,
okay, I was gonna say.
the amount of the check from the donation from the company was 10,000.
Right.
They would like to somewhat stay anonymous. It is a
Okay.
large company in a township. I have a quote from the Whitmer Public Safety Group for 3 of the point blank shields, under state contract. The shield price is $1,449.59 a piece. They're almost 50% off by state contract. So a price for 3 would be $4,348.77. And this will give us 4 on the street.
Motion second, all those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, Public Works, pickup truck, utility body installation quote from EM Fitz.
EM Quits has supplied me with a body in stock out there, 11,000. It was 11,000. I'd like to secure that. At this point, I'm looking for approval to secure that so we can get that in the list. I'm still working on the lighting package and headache rack and that sort of thing, including the backup camera. And so that's in stock if we don't take that.
Is this your truck or the white one?
The white one.
So are you looking for 11,330?
I'm looking to secure that, and I will be back to the board once we get the add-ons, the headache rack and the lighting in that package. Because they're not gonna put it on in the next 2 weeks, but they have it in stock. If we wait to order one, you're looking at probably $5,000 more and somewhere in the neighborhood of 24 weeks.
I'll make the motion, I'll lock in that quote.
Motion second, all those in favor? Aye. Truck washing, Northern Lights, Group.
We're still interested in partnering up with Carnarvon Lancaster to do the truck wash. That's gonna be a best management practice. We had reached out to the Carnarvon Sewer Authority about processing some of that wash water. We were told they don't have the facility for that. They don't have the proper filters for that. So Terry has secured with another sewer plant. I want to say it's Terry Hill, but don't hold me to that. Somebody else, penny a gallon to get rid of it. I don't have details. The board, looking for information from you. I'm thinking we enter into this at a dollar figure on an annual basis. With them, their building, there's some consumables, there's the wastewater disposal, so. Is that something the board's still interested in me pursuing with Terry?
So they're gonna have holding tanks and then when the tanks get full, they just pump.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good idea. We discussed
I
it
mean, yeah,
before.
get us some prices, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, with Terry's very easy to get along with, I just, this.
Terry, what are you looking for?
Yeah, some for a break.
I have, and he's not he hasn't come out and said, I want $10. I don't want to get into a $10 wash. I'm thinking $1,000, $2,000 a year to them the first year for the capability to go there and see where we're at. A winter like this where we don't get up and wash very often, it'd be a win for them.
So they're putting a bay in or?
They already did.
So,
They've spent close to $750,000 on that, so they put the 2 bays, the wash bay, the heaters, and that.
So do they know how many gallons they use now? roughly?
They don't, because they've only brought it online this winter. it was
We
finished.
finished in a municipal agreement with them, I think, don't we? I'm pretty sure. we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. I just,
For what? Do you know for what?
For
we
road-
we were doing road work together.
Sharing equipment and.
So you're looking for,
I just want to make sure the board's still.
Yes,
I'd be
move forward,
interested,
I would
if
say.
you can't do it here and
No,
it would
we can't.
save the.
Well, and it's just gonna cost a lot of money, so I mean.
Well, there's certain things I don't mind spending money on, there's things that think are redundant, and there's no reason for $1 million for the car washes to be built within 5 miles of each
Yeah,
other.
they're right up the road.
I make a motion for Keith to to get us quotes. To bring back,
I'm gonna work with Terry and the Carnarvon Lancaster board and go back to you with some figures.
Okay,
yes.
So the last thing here under Public Works is tot lots. So you've approved to repair, make some repairs over here. With a $3,000 quote, 25-24. That involves me removing a sliding board from this one over here because that slide is obsolete. I can't buy parts. The one at Birdie Park, I can. Here is the caveat to this is your tot lots are both pushing the 20-year mark, which for all intents and purposes is getting to the end of what they consider usable or the lifespan of these parks. So it's not your decision to me. What I'm asking you to do, your decision is, at what point do we stop spending $7,000 in repairs
okay,
and
so
start thinking about either replacement
how
or
many slides are over there?
there's 3 over there
Okay, so can
now.
we just remove the one?
We can, and that's what the quote was for. I just
Okay.
wanted to make
Okay.
sure the board knew that quote that you approved was removing, was
Okay.
removing one,
We have 2 top lots.
2.
We
One
have
in I.
30 and we have back here, right?
Correct.
I mean, maybe it would be worth our while to just get prices, just to update one, do an overhaul one, maybe.
Right. But
Well, I was thinking, I was thinking that you may want to involve Parks and Rec a little bit in some of that.
I would agree.
But we're gonna fix this one. There's jagged edges over here that need to be addressed.
I mean, are there grants still available for that? Cause I mean, we built them on grants.
Correct.
so we're already stuck with whatever has to be done.
The one in Birdie Park was a donation from one of the retail chains down here in East End of town. I'm just telling you that these pieces are, to me, they're ridiculously expensive for what we're getting, but it's what they cost. So,
Okay, so removing the one for now, and then
and I'm gonna block that off so
we're
that,
gonna fix it, because eventually we're probably gonna replace the whole thing, since your thing is that old.
I mean, obviously, we get used more than Verde, correct?
I can't say that I see the one in Birdie. I don't see this one.
But there's 2 other slides there, so I
Right.
mean,
I see a lot of people with this one.
just remove the slide for now.
Would it be beneficial to say that get Parks and Rec involved and get prices on maybe rehabbing this one to whatever degree that may be?
Yeah.
So you have a professional company come in and say, look, here's what you need to do.
Well, when you say Park and Rec, you're gonna be doing the pricing
Right,
anyway.
he's still,
So I just think you keep Park and Rec up to speed with what's going on. Okay, but I mean, you're gonna be the one doing the shopping.
Well, and I'm dealing with the company, the Miracle who put these in. We ordered swing saddles in December 4th and we still don't have them. So whatever you're thinking about this, just know it's painfully slow.
okay.
I just think it would be beneficial.
Now,
Oh, we should get on it before spring though.
Right.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Well, those parts are, we're gonna have to write them or order them. But when we started talking with Jeff the other day and for my own clarification, I was removing this slide. I didn't want to do that until I brought it to you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do that right away.
yeah,
So that one that we're gonna,
Concern, you need.
Yeah.
so we're gonna remove that one slide as soon as these parts come in to block off the hole to make it safe.
okay. Anything else?
When is Park and Rec's next meeting? It's
February. They didn't have one this month. So it's gonna be,
Third weekend, fourth week.
yeah, it's on a Monday, so
Late
we're
February.
looking
I would
at
say just if you're working with that company already, just ask them what we need to do.
Well,
27th.
in order of frank conversation, could we address,
And I don't want him to wait that long. You guys want to wait that
No,
long?
we don't.
I'm gonna approve these parts. You already approved these parts to be ordered, so we're gonna order them. I wanna, if I can go down the discussion on the bleachers over there. I've reached out to, Ben's Masonry here in town about rebuilding, rehabbing the concrete structure. He flattened the knife and he said it's not, he doesn't want the job. Again, I'm gonna tell you, I can't secure to the current concrete. But what level or what extent does the board want to say we're just gonna tear them down?
Well,
Right.
let's wait till we have this meeting and see what they're gonna say, okay, cause I know that they have money that they wanna invest.
But otherwise, it doesn't, you have bleachers, you got bleachers, we use them.
Yeah, the
Take it out.
bleachers I got are very low, I don't know how they would work there, would they?
I like them because they don't meet any of the criteria for the backs, the falls, the stuff, because they're only 3 levels high.
Will they fit in there if we take the other ones down?
We could take, my personal opinion was to tear the other ones down and measure the new ones and just throw some concrete footers down and then lag them fast and put them in there. I spent one of my children played baseball and I spent years carrying a bag chair because there were no bleachers and half the fields we went through, so. Or you're looking for sheets.
Well, I think before we do that, let's have this meeting and see what they say, because
Well, that's-
maybe we take it down there to the soccer fields.
Well, the question I have in this day and age is just pursuing, finding somebody that would want to rehab them. If you're thinking that, because you kind of wanted to, I was thinking we wanted the parking lot clear from the other bleachers and the other ones ready for the season, so at this point, we want to be knocking on March.
Well, we're gonna set the meeting up February, I think go toward the beginning of February, so.
All
it's
right,
only a
then
couple weeks.
I'll let it go, but that's all I have, and I don't have the quote for the George Library. I
Okay.
made some phone calls, no response.
All right, and electronic sign, we're gonna get quotes for that. Carnival agreement and deposit check request for Anthony Baker Entertainment.
I am starting to book entertainment for the carnival, and this would be for Thursday night. Of the carnival, they play a lot of classic rock, you can look them up, their band's name is Fat Mez. But what I'm looking for is $1,500 out of the carnival crew account for a deposit and approval for me to sign the contract.
Motion for that? Motion,
Second.
second, all those in favor?
Put that on the bill list, Gary.
So you're okay with waiting till your February 8th meeting for the check?
Yeah, I told him it was gonna, the government take a couple weeks to get this stuff, but yeah.
Okay, sounds
It's only
good.
what, next 2 weeks anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay, non-uniform benefits chart, longevity pay proposal.
This is-
Or no?
No, I didn't. We were a little bit earlier, you know.
I just put this together. There's presently four full-time employees that would be eligible. That have more than 5 years of service in place already. So the first payout would be the end of this year, would be the amount of $3,300. The second year would go up $200 because it's $50 a year for the 4 people. 3,500, third year, 3,700, and then subsequently thereafter it goes up $200 until the other 2 new employees come on, at which point it would go up $300. It's capped at $1,250 after 25 years of service. That's just what I'm proposing.
So everyone can look this over and then Paul has things also, we'll make copies
Yeah.
when we go back, because we'll have an executive, and then we'll hand those out for everyone to look at, and then the next one can review that, and you can take a vote on it, if it's something you're interested in. Okay. All right, so we need an executive,
Madam Chair, I have one more.
yes,
Skipped, you skipped up here the national tax assessment.
oh, did I? Okay,
The intervention, and if you did that on purpose,
no, I did not,
you may need an executive session on that
no,
before you vote.
Okay.
You have any questions on?
no. Anybody have, no. Okay, so Penn National Casino Tax Assessment Appeal Intervention.
Summary on what that is, or?
Yeah,
But lawyer terms, right?
So
Basically, they want an assessment.
I can explain it for your public if you want. At National Casino, the property, they filed a tax assessment appeal. So this is a rather large property. The property was assessed by the county at $79 million and $91 million in 2023. They claim it could be reduced by roughly 35%. And so that would result in a roughly 35% reduction in their revenue coming in from the real estate property tax. So the school district would have the most to lose, since the millage rate is higher than yours or the counties. Your typical practice on tax assessment appeals is not to get involved, to defer to the county and the school district to defend these appeals. Given the size of this one, their tax bill is large, given the value of the property being almost $100 million, would be large. And so if they were to prevail and have their valuation reduced by 35%, your tax bill would go down by 35%. It would cost you roughly $20,000 a year, $115,000 every 5 years in lost revenue, just to you alone, not counting the school district and the county. So your question is, do you want to intervene to assist the school district and county in defending this particular tax assessment appeal? Or would you continue your practice in deferring to the county and the school district? Benefit of being involved is that you are privy to the litigation involved, getting information, having a say and some control over the litigation, having a say in any settlement discussions that may arise. Downside is there the cost
Right.
being involved in doing all of that. They've got to weigh all of
So
that.
with what we would lose compared to what it's gonna cost, but you gotta think over a long term. You wanna get involved in
The
this,
first county already rejected it, now they appealed it.
Correct.
and I'm sure the school's opinion.
Are they
So-
appealing? The school?
The school district solicitor did say she was going to intervene on behalf of the school.
So we've never got involved before because they go forward to do it. Do you wanna get involved now? I mean,
I would like to get involved. I think that's,
I think we should.
If we're gonna lose 25,000 a year approximately. If it cost us $25,000 to keep that, it would be well worth it. We would lose 1 year instead of forever.
Yeah, I agree.
you're not gonna do that pro bono.
That's not just me. Your most significant cost may come from towards the appraiser. You have to go in and share in the cost of an appraiser. And it's not just this typical appraiser of like a real estate of a home. It's appraising a large, unique property. It's not like a casino.
That would be shared between the school and the county.
But that,
the cost of that's shared
Cost of
between the
that'd be
school and the
shared,
county.
it would be pro rata based on millage rate between school district and county. So school district would be paying most of the appraiser's fee. But you would be paying some of it. The other way to look at it is we could, I could intervene at all and have the school district and county pay more. And we just sit on the sidelines. And you'll just sit back and you'll just get a decision at some point in time.
What's the math tax assessment done?
For this property, it was just done. It was just done in
But
Hey,
how
is
how
that
can you even compare this? Because there's not, how many casinos are in the state?
That's part of the challenge. And part of the challenge. Well, again, if you have questions on pros and cons, strengths and weaknesses of the case, we can talk further in the executive session.
Us paying, helping us pay the portion is gonna make the decision any different. You know
No,
what I'm
but
saying?
at least we're gonna have to say, we want to have some input.
I think I agree. I mean, we've got all three big parties here, the township, the school district and the county are all saying no. I mean,
What do you want to discuss it other than executive session? Because he just said something about it.
Okay, we have an executive, and we can go there afterwards, in case somebody thinks of something that we do need executive, so. We're gonna go for executive first.
Madam Chair,
Yeah,
I know we were on the agenda, but I was hoping we could break in.
I
just for
thought
a
you were
couple
just
minutes.
bored and needed something to do.
You know, Wednesday nights here are so much fun. I just wanted, I wanted to take the opportunity to come in and touch base again. I know these, the workshop meetings are a little less formal. I'm hoping the newer format of the monthly reports is well received and a little more clear. I wanted to make myself available to ask any questions or answer any questions that you guys had in person and, be available to you guys now.
Well, anybody have any questions?
I did receive a donation form from you this year. I haven't received one in a very long time, so it was good to see that.
We are trying. We do have one project that I want to put on your radar. We currently run about 14% of our calls in Carnarvon Burks. And we are in desperate need of getting on the list to replace an ambulance. These are running about $165,000 to $185,000 right now. And 14% of that puts us in that $25,000 ballpark. Going forward at some point in the near future, I would ask that you consider an ARP fund disbursement to the tune of that $25,000. And I can provide you any additional information, come to the next meeting, whatever you would like, but I wanted to get this on the radar. We were hoping to place an order in February or March. So it's a very preliminary conversation, but I wanted to get that on the radar as definitely something we need. Our life cycle of our vehicles and the get delivery time of these new ambulances is not putting our backs up against the wall, but it's something we really kind of need to get on top of.
How many ambulances do you run under that?
So we run 2 ambulances, 24 hours a day. We have a total of 4 vehicles, one of which is not serviceable. It's old, we keep it around, but the parts needed to fix it, they don't make anymore. So it's not something we would put on the street. So we have 3 functional ambulances, one of which is really nearing the end of its service life. And like I said, with the type 2 ambulances we run first out, they have about a 5-year, 100,000-mile service life, and we're about 2.5 years into that. So we gotta do something to protect our steps going forward.
Okay. All right, anything else?
No, ma'am. If you have any other questions, my contact information is out there. I'm here for you and I appreciate your consideration.
There was an additional avenue for purchase on top of the co-stars. I mentioned it to Mr. Brown about like Sourcewell.
Yeah, I saw that and looked into it a little bit.
I'm just putting it out there. Can we review that till the February meeting and see whether that's.
Yeah, well, we put that on the
Send that, email it to me.
Matt, one of your crews asked for updated maps for the Morgan. Was it you? I did reach out to them. They have somebody working on it. As soon as I get that, I will get it out to you.
Much appreciated, sir.
Not a problem. We used to have it years ago, but I don't know what happened to the copies.
Yeah, I want to get them on the NDT. We got Telfi on there.
Yeah.
I can have a little file of obscure maps.
Mm-hmm.
Makes life so much easier for everybody.
I don't blame you, especially that place. It's so,
So they got a factory 7 the other day, or refinery 7. And they kept going to building 7 because that's where security was taking them. Security guys like, this is the only 7 I know, and it's all the way up the hill and. Yeah, so
how's the change of the guard going?
Very well, very
Had the
well.
big
Yeah,
swearing in program.
I didn't swear in because I had a migraine the size of this building, so, but no one would have noticed if I wasn't there, so that's okay. He had the county chiefs meeting today and rubbing elbows and he knows everybody anyway, so it's not.
Gonna go golfing.
We told John we'd buy him golf clubs. But Tom will golf, yes.
What happened in East oh shucks. Next to the valley or east
East Falville?
yes, East Falville. Where'd he go?
We're not broadcasting through the Zoom?
I don't think so.
I'm not 100% sure, so
I didn't know he disappeared.
I'd be glad enough to speak to the chief of police in his office,
Hmm. Hmm.
but
Save it for a meeting night.
we can do that if you'd like to. I am full of
Will
gossip.
you guys change the meeting night so I can make it now?
Well, we changed the meeting now, but also the issue is Wednesday, that night was Honeybrook Township, that night was this one, and, you know, I think if we're gonna be asking for things here, we should at least show up when we're not always with our hand out, so.
Mhm.
But yes, it was also done for you, so.
And other people.
And other people, but absolutely, it's,
Appreciate
there was no reason.
I just felt bad, because both of our meetings are now both Wednesday nights now. They changed the one last year. Was
Yeah,
the main one, which is the same night as that night.
It's not tough to change it, and you
Yeah.
have to be here, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So. And everybody else can just move the schedule around, so. So our meeting is I believe it's the 15th.
Now you got that other class thing going. For the EMT thing, the school.
Gary's for it. Lou has concerns, but won't tell anyone what they are. John sounds like he's agreeable, he just wants to maybe put something in place.
I
The
think
problem is,
he-
this doesn't happen very often.
I think you need something in place because somebody goes a week into it. Goes 2 weeks into it, you know,
Well, that's gonna be
what did
part of
they
the-
fail? Right, I mean, that's a,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta have something because it's no different than. A
Well-
police department hiring somebody and sending them to the police academy,
And then they
And-
bail.
while they bail, they get
Or they
kicked
get-
out,
Or they get certified and 2 weeks later they bail.
right,
Yeah, you want your coin, so.
yeah.
No.
But if
Susan
you
had
can get some
drafted-
type of interest, yeah,
Correct.
definitely,
Susan had drafted a contract for the volunteer. For her and her parents to sign.
okay.
I just mimic that and we'll just have her.
I think it's a good idea, I just haven't had a chance to really get into, I saw Lou's email and but I agree, you gotta have something, you know, fall back
it's
on.
done, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, he's, if he doesn't complete the class, if he drops out and gives us money, if he doesn't put in the.
Who's that gonna be?
Hmm?
Who's that gonna be?
Greg Bickle? I put it at the bottom.
I must have missed the name,
He works out of West Vincent,
oh, okay,
so he is in need of a little coin, so,
no, okay.
but it's something that interests him, so. I snagged him before Gather Hole got him. We were in the lunchroom having lunch and Brian comes up, what's going on? Can't have him. I'm gonna get him for a while, then you can have him when we're done, but I'm keeping this one, so. So hopefully, and Matt's been bringing in people like mad, so
Trying.
hopefully.
It's an uphill battle.
It
Is that
well,
you?
The Zoom is still up.
Oh,
Well, that's what I had discussed with our group, that. It's just the ever shrinking pool of overworked EMTs, it's, you know, yeah, we took a couple from Western, but maybe 3 months from now, Western. Might turn around and take people from us, so.
yeah, well, it's always been people hop, skip and jump around on that.
It is, but I think we have a nice environment here now and. More,
Good.
be nice on that here that, you know, it's a nice place to work and the tower crews, everybody seems to be getting along for the most part, we'll hiccup here and there, but.
No fist fights in the parking lot.
That's
Like, you
good.
know, it's brothers and sisters in the same house. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
That make me mom or dad.
I think it'd be dad, wouldn't you? No, it could be mom.
Well, you guys can get out of here now. Have
Yeah,
a
that's
good night.
fine. Well, you know, I just wanted to make it.
Sure, well, I think it's good.
It's, I always hated to be the kind of, oh, look, they're here, what do they want?
Hmm.
I didn't want that to be,
Well, they don't know what's going on, you know.
well, we don't know what's going on either, there might
Right.
be some pressing issues in the community that, you know, we can touch base with, so.
Yeah.
But, all right, well, started looking snazzy to you though.
Trial,
Good, man. Good.
day 2.
I'll start wearing this.
Day 2,
Up to you, man. You know, I am.
day 2, one more day, big trial.
Oh, for you?
I'm there, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Does it seem good, seem bad, or just,
Hey, you never know,
all
you
right,
know? No,
well,
you know, you can only read so much body language from the 13 people.
let justice prevail either way that it swings.
Yep. And that's why we have this system in place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, we'll catch with you. I'll probably see you before then.
I'm sure you will.
We'll chat.
But I'll talk to you guys, see.
See you.
Take everybody out.
So you on 176 earlier with the PSP?
Yeah.
Oh. When I was coming back a little bit before 6 o'clock down the interstate, they had a car with flares and lights right before exit 2. Somebody pulled up, was coming up behind me.
Probably, being and us were on that rotation.
Hmm.
I had one down around the bend there on Valley Road. The guy called me and told him, wait for the police to come out. Tell him that you have a tow truck and be right down. I said, okay, and I never got a call. So I don't know if, I know we had some problems. No driver. So. Right around the bend there. We're all worn on the only pickup truck and car. Pickup truck around and turn on his side of the road.
Not good.
Then I had one up there by Rank Road and Alderson Road in the ditch. Told him to call the police. And there was a flare there and he was gone. He said a pickup truck pulled him out. I just can't go out and just pull people out of ditches. To me, that's,
So we're done with the heavy stuff.
that's an accident. You don't know if it's property damage.
Don't know what you're showing up to.
And Joey Bailey called me,
Who?
Bill Bailey,
Billy?
and his daughter was in an accident down on 568. Was Birdsboro. And I called Dennis up. Told him about it. He sent a car after. I told him for nothing. His daughter. I told the ambulance too, well, not the ambulance, one of their Ford Explorers.
That's probably the one to just get rid of.
Lug nut sheared off, and the wheel fell off of it. Right there in the load. Pointing the load there. I took that for free.
Nice. The old train whistle, huh?
Yeah. Pretty neat.
Something different. Not everybody's got a train whistle for their ringtone.
That's just my text message.
Wow, text message. Yeah.
For my phone, it's loud. I need something to wake me up when I get a call at night. I had one earlier today down here at Warwick. Guy from Philadelphia. Around the bend, ran up on a bank, hit a tree.
They getting any crashes out there at the new traffic light?
All the way down.
Yeah. Well, I guess that would be East Coventry.
Yeah. Best ones I get are at the red light. I had one down here, the other side of the, right there at the winery, the barn there, they made into a winery or thing.
Yeah, whatever that thing is, yeah.
The lady coming towards this way, she, ran up on the guardrail, flipped her car, she went 50 yards upside down in the field.
Hmm.
Going to road conditions. One day, guy was in Philadelphia. Had the loan on the car and he, had his insurance canceled and
Not good.
you know,
Yeah, we'll be out by 9.
had one the other day up through California, across from California Road, what's that road,
Hammertown,
now,
off of 23.
there's a saddle shop up there.
Yeah.
Accident up there the other day, I got it.
Can't think of the name of the street, I know where you mean. To your left if you're going into
Yeah.
Lancaster. And kids are into that skate park and stuff.
I would have, them walk around with a, kind of like a petition type deal. And go door to door and try to see how many people would be interested. To having everybody from out of the area. That makes sense, huh?
Mm.
Before they spent that kind of money?
Well, being the owl's still alive, I will not make any comments. Right, Michelle? Mm.
For them kids there, they're pretty much teenagers. How long are they gonna do it? Couple years and
There's a guy that works in the industrial park, Ron. That at lunchtime, when the weather's decent. Comes up from the industrial park. Like, I got my. From that person, he comes up from the industrial park at lunchtime. Every day when the weather's decent. And rides his skateboard. In Timber Road, like back down. And he's. I'm gonna be conservative and say that he's in his 40s. But. And this guy's been doing it for years. I mean, so. I could say that he's probably been doing it more than 10 years down there. Where he actually works, what building, I'm not sure. But yes, you have to be careful what you put in.
this big development, if it goes in, that would be a plus. Or something like that.
Well, you're gonna wanna have something down there. Whether the development puts it in. Or,
Maybe they can talk to the development and make that a stipulation that they put something in like that.
mhm.
I think right now they would,
I mean, that's always a potential.
That many houses, there's another development up behind it. Kids need to do something.
Well, you had to have something in that area for the young children of that neighborhood. Yeah. I agree.
And there's no property there.
Well, like you said, the ball field's not being used, so make it something usable.
Did you check Mono?
What's that?
Did you check Mono?
I am.
Bill Wally Scott's Facebook page. You know who Wally Scott is?
No.
He used to get in there. He's gonna run again.
Mm.
You'll get an eye opener.
We made it fairly through most of January without a major snowstorm, which is good.
Guys that plow snow over Burton.
I didn't realize you went in there. I just lost track. I thought you left.
No, I was told to wait out here. She said I could go back out and wait.
The owl is on, just so you know.
So,
Yes.
Michelle.
You can say hi to her. She'll acknowledge it and say hi to you.
She's got a little message.
I did get your email, but I'm tied up.
I found that in my drafts. Apparently I typed that and didn't send it.
I got one more day. Hopefully, then I'll be back here Friday. Just saying hi to you.
Yeah. Hi, Keith.
But I have a meeting Friday afternoon with county, so. This week is this cluster.
Yeah.
A lot of places did.
Ron, there were 4 cars stuck on California Road. 4 cars, meaning 16 tires. 16 tires that if you pushed them into one tire, still didn't have 5/32 of tread depth amongst them all. And then they're stuck in the snow, and it's my.
Yeah.
The one fellow was slightly agitated. I said something, "Can you get your BMW at least on the other side of the road so I can get past?" Oh. I try, but I don't know.
So they were coming up that hill.
Coming up a hill. So I shoveled so that he could get over. And then asked him whether he thought he got all the life he could get out of those may pop tires. He just looked at me. I said, well, they may pop any minute. I don't know if I want to stand too close. While I'm doing that, they're turning and driving down the hill from the top. Bouncing off the wall.
Where was that at?
California,
Up off the Shiloh going down?
coming down right at the top of the steepest part of that hill.
At the there's another tree that's pretty dead. It looks like it's ready to come down.
On Shiloh.
Now in California.
I know.
I don't want everybody to tell me.
It's a statement.
I know. Those.
I got a list.
The only good part, it's very dead, so maybe it'll break up when it
How
crashes.
close?
Yeah. It's pretty close,
I'll have to look at that, look it over.
yeah.
There's some rather small dead stuff that I've taken notice that most people wouldn't. It fell down.
Mhm. Excuse me.
It was that brand new plow, brand new truck. I mean, the very, very first inaugural flight of that plow. Like I'm down the mill road and turned on the valley and the plow hit the ground and it just bounced so bad. And I had come to a screeching halt and start over. And well, maybe once the edges wear off, it'll calm down. Well, it calmed down, but then I got up in the Mountaineer Village and I hit just the smallest little spot. And it just jumps up in the air. And then the fittings were coming loose, so my windshield's covered in hydraulic oil. And I'm out there with a rag, my shirt, sweatshirt, trying to polish a clean spot so I can see.
Do they have to paint or skins on them or?
There's mushrooms on it. We run them 2 turns up off the ground. But sometimes that carbide cutting edge has to wear just a pad. But every one of those trucks is just that attack angle. And well, I left, I dropped it at Valley Road till I got the sheets. I couldn't see because the hydraulic fitting was loose and then cover. So it's back to the shop, simple green, gone. 40 minutes of washing the hydraulic oil off the windshield. Right up next to the maintenance facility. Yeah, they added 2 more bays, one of them the wash facility.
Is that wash underneath or?
It's just a pressure washer, but all of the wash waters.
I'm saying. Fair enough, we've only got truck washer first.
MS4 is requesting, MS4 will require you to wash inside the catcher.
Yeah, they recycle, I think they recycle.
Some of them do, they don't up there because they don't have a short plant, so they were gonna just take it.
No, I mean football.
Yeah, they recycle, most of your car washes recycle.
They got a catwalk in there.
Well, you ought to see the one they got up, some wet place that took out in Lancaster. That is to make their, to get stormwater regulations, all of your public works facilities got more impervious surface than they're supposed to. So they all got cisterns. I mean, we're talking, they got 7, 8, 10,000 gallons of rainwater they caught in and keep inside to keep it from freezing. I mean, it's heated. They're heating up rainwater to keep it inside, and it's just, but Lancaster County is the one that is. Oh, I just can't see why we would want to build a $500,000 facility when there's one 5 miles up the road.
Well. Didn't you used to use the dump to wash underneath?
We've always done it ourselves, but last number of years we've moved it inside, but I don't have enough ceiling height to put the bed all the way up. So, and even with their truck wash up there, you still gotta almost rough wash them somewhere, rinse them somewhere, and then go up there because they don't want the maintenance of cleaning the cinders and all the filters and all that. And I do.
Good pressure washer before you actually.
Right. Now, we did send the stuff up to Glick and had it sprayed with
How'd that work in?
with the car well. We'll see. We'll see. I used a salt eliminating soap down there and I pre-treated them in the fall with a rust preventive from the bottom side.
Are they aluminum or stainless steel plate?
Ours are they're stainless, but I did the pickups and everything, so everything got done with that. I for $1,000 in the standings, I don't think that was a lot of money to have to, it was 2,000. But like, if that saves me 1 brake line job, I'm ahead of the game. So.
Oh, yeah, you're all using. Brake lines.
Mhm. With that,
That brine,
oh, that's the same as,
oh, this is all water?
all the same, it's no different than driving down to the Chesapeake and pumping it out and spreading it in the street.
No,
It's the same thing. I know why PennDOT uses it. And we make some, and if we have snow coming, we can spread it.
Does it actually, no,
It does. If you use it and understand it.
it seems like they put it out too soon and the cars track it, and most of it's
That's-
way before it starts.
It doesn't matter as long as that's residual faults on the pavement. It will keep that snow when it first falls. It will make more salty brine and then you won't get the won't bond between the snow and the asphalt. Is it? It's not an end all or a cure all. When you spread the salt out of the truck, you're waiting for it to melt enough snow to make salt water to start filtering out the bottom. So you're just doing it, and you're doing it, you're pre-treating is what you're doing.
When you just use the regular salt that you have, you can spread on the road.
Yeah, and then we bought a trash pump and a 200-gallon tote and put a 35 foot.
Hey, just run a spreader down the road and spread salt on the road.
The loss from one of it that bounces plus what loss you lose from the bounce and then what the traffic throws off,
That makes sense.
you just lose too much. I'll be honest, I like it better spraying it right on the spreader to the salt, because I'm driving down the road, I'm just squirting on the spreader and it's making everything wet as it comes off. The problem, those systems they're so prone to trouble. Honeybrook had them and they put them on the tailgate. Well, if you got they run a lot of tandems and triaxles. So you put the bed up to dump the salt back, your load shifts back. And now you got 200-gallon of water hanging off the tailgate and it's just enough to offset it, now the bed won't. So now your bed's all the way up. How you getting back? So Donnie he uses calcium chloride. And he just backs the trucks up and evacuates the load. And then they're spread it. We did that here with salt brine. We had a hard pack on 23 one store. And in the afternoon, late afternoon, I took the 2 trucks to do that and I saturated the loads profusely with it. And sent everybody out, spread it. You can't bring it back. If you bring it back and don't dump it off, it turns into a block of salt right there in the truck overnight. So just take it out and spread your load. Well, anyway, I had a 3, 4, or 5 inch hard pack on 23. And we did that night. And the next morning by 8:30, when the sun come up, it was flat and black because it just mushed up overnight, worked it. And when we come in the morning, we were able to cut right through it and plow it off.
Yeah, 'cause that hard pack, well, that's tough.
That can be a bear. I'm a car guy. I don't like spraying it. I agree. It does ugly things. But all part of automobile ownership is maintenance. And, sometimes.
I miss the cinder bags.
If people could drive and buy tires. When was the last time somebody went out and bought snow tires? I got all season radials.
They don't make snow tires on.
I got all season tires 55,000 miles ago.
You said you seen no treads today.
Studded tires, no chains.
You seen
And
no treads,
Yeah, it did. Racing slicks.
no treads.
He walked up the California road and then says, well, I'm trying to go on the turnpike. And he looks south on Shiloh Road and goes, man, I gotta go uphill there too. Well, That's-
Not celebrated anymore. It's like a goat
Yeah, the dirt part,
No,
you on the dirt part?
no, it's on the blacktop, but it's only like a one laner.
Well, if you go the other way, it's dirt. You go up from Park Road and turn right and come back west, it's dirt.
You guys can fill it up and break it. They got these companies now, they, like Amazon. But they drive their own cars, it's not Amazon. And you deliver packages. I brought him into this town. Dropped him off at the holiday. Right, can find him a little easier.
The one I felt sorry for was the trucker that was trying to turn off 176. The light turned green. He started turning, push the throttle.
Uh-oh,
That's where it stopped.
but that was today. Until the fire police were out there today. I seen fire police were called.
I stopped. I said, there ain't much I can do for you, Chris. It ain't getting no fuel, but who knows which sensor it is that's making it not get fuel.
So was he coming down the hill? Turning left on 136. Oh. I had everybody locked up. 50 people were cussing him out, huh? Poor guy. Like, what's he supposed to do?
There ain't nothing he can do.
No.
What are you doing up in the concrete? And then I looked at my smile, laughed. Shut up, wouldn't steer so good, would it? Well, you think of that big steering wheel, well, you can pull a lot of times on that, and it ain't moving much.
And then when you lose power.
Well, that's what I mean, when the power steering goes out, you can turn that steel 6 revolutions and the tire didn't move for 2 degrees.
A lot of them got full steering boxes already. Melissa's running for judge.
Yeah. Her and a few other people,
Yeah. Well,
at least. So far.
Yeah, that email wasn't. Just. Looking through, trying to find one I started and went, well, there's a draft. It never sent that. No wonder they didn't get a response.
I think we need to try and figure out for the intersection of Main and Mill. Possibly putting Main and Mill on Mill. Didn't we used to have a dual no truck sign there?
On both sides,
was the one on the bar, and it was kind of like, if you're not really paying a great attention, you don't see it until it's too late, and then they gotta go down and try and turn. But I thought years ago we had dual signs there, one on both sides. Now, I don't know if there's enough space to be able to put something on an angle there. We'll have to look at it one day.
You can look at it. I don't have a problem putting another one on
Yeah.
the ground. Did you see the bigger and they're stopping standing parkings are up on Main?
Mhm. Be like the last trucker I had, he just parked in the center.
There's one park in the center already putting them up.
Tough. Just getting a cup of coffee.
There's no reason for that at Dunkin' Donuts. There's plenty of parking in there.
Or a sandwich. Or a dog. See, old Saturday night, I saw Domino's was packing them in.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna hurt AJ's, I think.
Yeah, to a certain point, people will try it. See what they like.
I bought one of them air fryers.
You did?
I did. I bought one of them air fryers. There's a little piece of pizza place in that island in Eagle there, just beyond where the ice cream stand is. And she'll pick one up there, and I don't care if she picked it up today, if I don't want it for Saturday night, I just pop a piece in that air fryer. And you'd swear it's fresh out of the oven. The bottom is as crunchy and crispy as it should be, and it just. That heats it up, it's remarkable how good that is.
And you're fine.
In that air fryer.
Air fryers are nice. I'm starting to use ours more and more.
Once the Popeyes gonna be done,
I'm saying April.
they're digging.
All comes down to what the weather will probably be the next month. The weather stays mild enough that they can work and they don't have 3 foot of snow on the ground and
Now that mountain dirt's going stuff out of there, it looks bigger than what it was.
Well, they said they put some stormwater in, didn't they?
they're,
They're working on
yeah, I was gonna say there was piping there.
I have a good feeling. They know to pay attention. Are you gonna, that electrical project could probably be ARPA funded too.
it. They got big concrete boxes there to move on.
The pre-construction meeting, they were waiting on them, and I saw some showed up, but I didn't know how many are. And one of the storm water sources that they're tying into an existing system, so they needed good weather, they could, in my words from. I'm afraid that's gonna be expensive. But what we're talking about is isolating that one room.
See what we can do. 'Cause it's just gonna keep happening.
My thought process, and maybe it's not what you're thinking, but if I can isolate the evidence room to its own circuit, there's nothing that we can do in the rest of the PD to trip that breaker. That way, if only the officers or brass from the department have access to that, somebody can't plug a coffee pot or teapot or anything in somewhere else and trip the breaker, because it'd be on its own. The only
In
way
that room, you mean?
in that room.
Yeah, the only thing that will be in that room will be the lights.
Well, I'm
The
saying
computer
outside. Right now, it's on the
and-
same circuit as your office,
Right.
and I would like to just get it on its own. That way that when that room's locked at any point in time, nobody can plug in a hairdryer or anything somewhere else and trip it.
Mhm.
If we have a mechanical failure in there, then we have a mechanical failure, but it's not something that somebody inadvertently would do from the outside.
But they'd be back.
More years cheap than you were in electric.
What's that? I didn't hear you.
A couple more years, they'll be running electric trucks.
Coming. Well, Los Angeles Fire Department's running electric engines. Now, how it's going, I don't know, but they had one, a couple, I think. And it's weird looking. I don't know if you saw it yet, Keith.
I saw pictures, I don't know
Who's doing it? I don't know.
I saw.
But it's just
pictures.
weird to look at. It kind of reminds you of a European fire truck.
I've only briefly glanced at some pictures. And my personal opinion is I'm not getting an electric snowplow. Cause it's being cold out there and I'm not waiting for it to go well, and there I stand, snow blowing
Mm.
and making me nervous.
I just want to know where they're gonna put all these charging stations.
Someday we'll have the George Jetson mobiles.
You know, I don't like the electric things, but my wife's got a Toyota that steers for you. On that lane assist stuff.
Mm.
Some don't even have steering like, they're fly-by-wire steering. I don't like that stuff.
Last year in March, I had to go to pick her up at the airport in a snowstorm in Baltimore. On Saturday, on Monday, I was in the front of Toyota. And up in performance, I wanted shut off, and I got a song and a dance. And I got over it. Fast forward to September. And I'm at the beach in Florida and it's raining. Lo and behold, there's a Toyota dealer in the street. And we light on the dash to 25,000 mile service required. We're going to there. Can you shut this steering stuff off? Well, I'll show you how. Do on the steering wheel. There, it's off. I could be in Florida, not doing it. They didn't want. There's nothing more unnerving than driving a car in the snow. And it's trying to center you in what it thinks are the lines, which are really tire tracks. It's just the whole time you're driving it, it's doing just steering away. And all that does is make you go crazy, because I'm used to driving when the car starts moving, I gotta react. Well, it's reacting to me, fire coming up 83 that day. We went to Florida and all you heard was beep, 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 because then we get too close to the line and it beep right here. On a back road. I don't know, pick one, California, and you come across a guy on a bicycle and you just kind of veer over to go around him and it steer you back.
Dangerous.
Isn't it? Especially when the rest of the world's going, whoa, the car dies for me, I'll just.
This is just supposed to actually be 4 foot from a bicycle, I guess, on the road time.
Something like that. Oh, there's a horse and buggy and you just try to lead around them and it steers you back.
The electric cars, you know, a lot hard time in the cold weather.
I like the way they,
Being charged.
I like the way they burst into flames after they flooded in Florida.
Yep, you know, some of these tow companies now, they got
Especially Moscow.
containments, in a container filled with water and they submerge the car in water when they bring it back.
I don't resist new technology. I just,
Now, there's stuff that they're not ready for yet.
John Deere's trying to push it in the Midwest. Yeah, it's fine. I got crop to harvest and weather coming. That machine's gonna run till it can't run no more. I don't have 10 hours to sit it down. I don't think I'm gonna fuel it while it's moving.
And some things you just cannot replace, like fire trucks. It might be okay for California, for in-town areas, but you get out of town. Like Twin Valley here, you only can afford so many totes or so many fire trucks. That fire truck doesn't work, it goes up, something happens to the battery.
It's bad enough now trying to shoot when you have electrical issues, you know. We're chasing wires and trying to figure it out.
And how much heavier it is.
Oh, boy.
Hmm.
Aren't they their own fire hazard with all that battery in them?
I'm hard to put to the fire and
Yeah, until you put the electric motor in the battery, you won't be able to haul any work.
yeah. We'll be pulling trailers.
Yeah, there you go, great.
Did you mind the snow plow?
I can't.
Truck stopped, up, batteries being charged.
Heater on high, wipers on high, I had to beat my way up California Road for 3 hours now. And finally got to the top.
Yeah, so many snowstorms, look how many hours you're out there running. You know, you can't stop and charge.
No. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Charge will complete in approximately 36 hours. Guess it'll be all right if the George Jetson are flying over the snow.
And it's not like these little, you know, like your hand tools where you can take the battery pack out and put a replacement in that was on charge already.
There's just so much can happen with people's lives that they're pushing things where they're not ready yet. The power grid's not ready.
What you gotta do is go to North Carolina, that guy keeps shooting them. They're down for days.
Look at Texas, what was that last year? When windmill throws up?
It's their, well, it's like that driverless car where they gotta have
Tesla.
Well, there's driverless cars, they want to use GPS and now they're putting mini antennas on telephone poles because they gotta be in 1 mile squares, so the car knows where it's at. Well, that may be all right in Philly or King of Prussia, but it certainly ain't gonna work in the middle of Illinois. Cause you can go 20 miles in a lot of directions and never come to a house. And that's Illinois. Kansas gets worse.
And when the batteries are done, what are they doing with them?
Can't recycle them.
Throw them in landfill.
It ain't no different than your new brand new Peterbilt out there in the parking lot. It does less work and uses more fuel to do less work because they made it better for the environment.
Yeah, and that DEF's really,
Fertilizer,
yeah, that really stinks coming out, and you tell me that's good for the environment, and the plastic jug in the front, the cardboard box. Somebody's bright idea.
well, you know what they were trying to do was trying to nitrites oxide for the nitrites coming out of it.
Well, they did that with the EGR now.
Much of it, yeah, well. They use more fuel to do less work and it costs me more to do it.
only getting, I was getting 13, 14 on a trip in my truck. I'm down to 8.
Well, that's the winter blend, right?
Yeah. 8 mile a gallon.
I hunted a high this year. And you go out the turnpike and down 70. I run out of fuel just about that Cabela's there in West Virginia. And I'd pull in there and fuel up and I go from 14 mile a gallon to 18, 19 in my truck. I'm like, "Oh, I don't understand this. They don't run winter fuel. Well, West Virginia. Which just don't make any sense. There's a whole lot more cars doing a whole lot more driving. And it takes more fuel to do the same amount of work because that's better for who? The oil company.
Somebody's getting out. Getting a big kickback and then, how to get rich, you politicians.
So wait to see what's on the laptop. Don't know for sure. 100 laptop.
I'd like to see that. That's coming. It's gonna come. They just keep on finding documents that hold Biden's place up. Now they found some of the Pence's. I'll be sitting back laughing.
Already. Secure, man. It's by my Corvette.
When Sean, the picture, you know, with the 2 girls in the corner.
Yes.
Oh, boy. Rolling tonight. Talking about me.
Decided to be done here. 8 o'clock. They're gonna be home by 9.
Huh? That's what I thought.
So we got a new settlement date, that's probably what they're telling you. I got a new settlement date. They want to settle. March 6th.
You know something I don't know.
No, everything's on Google. Supposed to be January 5th. That got tossed out because the judge got tossed out. His best friend was Your DA. I got a good lawyer. This is not your first one. This is the second one comes. Insurance company wants to give me all the time back in this township, I told them. I'll never take this township.
Again, you know more than I know.
All them people that went home tonight with bald tires are gonna schedule for new ones before next week.
Why, what's next week? We getting another store?
Every time you look at this,
Must be one storm after another coming.
it is, but next week is warm. But that first week in February, they show it as cold, but that doesn't mean nothing, because 2 weeks ago, they showed this week as cold. It's rained it down.
And I believe, I tell you what, I think I get probably more accidents when it's raining. People hydroplane, they go too fast.
Again, bad tires,
No trips.
no treads. Slick ups, no racing.
No, we got that ice, all that ice.
a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
And there was a 20-foot pile up on 130. Right near the Brandywine Hospital.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's. Unfortunately, it's all too often down there.
Cause I had one there, Mount Lake Street there. On that Barnstone Hill, state trooper, his car broke down at the scene.
Got doubled up, did you?
Yeah, what I did is I told him just drift it down, put it in that parking lot there and I'll be back for him. And I took the crash car back to my place and I come back and hooked him up and put up on my truck and took him down Emeryville.
They have a garage there, did they pay people to work on that?
Yeah, they have their own garage, not there, but they have a big, PennDOT has a big maintenance building down there off of down towards Westchester, they're huge. They work on their own trucks and stuff down there. Yes, pedal.
Well, by private cable.
They have full plastic and then boards. He kind of went sideways a little bit and his foot got in between the hump there and the gas pedal. And when he pulled his foot out there, it broke the gas pedal.
Plastic's all right for some things and other things it just don't matter.
I took him all the way down Emeryville. That's a haul. Good. I take care of everyone next day.
There's a hold on me though.
That's the problem. There was one there's a death under investigation. Well, they have a tow list just for that kind of stuff, and you who's on it, Miller's. And it takes them so long to come out, and then you don't pay $110 per incident. You could have two cars for $110. Both them cars all the way down to Emeryville, drop them off. Yeah, so that's why Miller's is on it, nobody else wants to be on it.
Yeah, I get it.
It doesn't pay. So when Miller's are unavailable, guess who they're calling? They're calling me to go. I don't say anything, I just do it. You gotta take the good with the bad, I guess.
It all depends what you're turning down while you're doing
Well, and I never get paid.
it.
Berks County, now they started, they'll hold on to the car. And they'll send the people down to me to pay for it before they gotta take a receipt up there that it's paid for. Then before they release the car to them. But I don't mind that. Like when the security guard up there got killed, I did them two cars, and I never got paid for them. Where a girl got killed up there at the other side of the dump, she was on a motorcycle, that pickup truck ran her over there to the gas station.
Hey, your voices.
Mark, I think we can make it Mark.
Where you're at? Oh, over there.
I had to take that all the way.
Hold it back. The first item is litigation. So back to Penn National Casino Tax Assessment Appeal. So, do we have a motion
I
to,
make a motion that we get involved in it.
Second.
motion second, all those in favor? Opposed, aye. Okay, any?
No.
Yes. Motion,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Signatures.
You didn't bring the Kubota. I know I read it. What's the name of the thing you used to go? The Ventrac?
Municipality that purchases the.
I do not, it was the Kubota vendor that I reached out to, said that the Kubota works with them, they give a bigger discount.
And he knows. You haven't hit a thing.
That comes along with a lot of that. See, the thing is, side by side, they're wider than your side.
You know, what I'm talking about?
The bench jacks are really.
Bench
wide,
You
too.
ever look into that?
By the way, you left the L on this one.
Practice on what we.